All right, everyone, welcome to our team call. And I am a little anxious because my Wi-Fi is completely froze. You're all froze, but everyone's saying you can hear me. So we're going to go ahead with this call and just pray for a great outcome. I am just so excited to share with you a dear friend of mine, Karla Italiano, tonight. Before we get started, couple reminders. We have the 11-day detox going on in HHP. So if you guys aren't plugged into that and want to have a good strict 11 days and detox and join in the fun, please look there. Thank you guys so much for all the leaders that are contributing to that and making it special. Day one's been a blast, and we're excited for the next 10 days after that. So congrats on that. Also, Leader in Action has been updated. We've got some people so close to breaking into the top 15 for the trip to Fiji for top achievers. So I want to shout out Tyler Walter, Susan Wheeler, Jackie Proctor, Lori Olson, Ann Baranti, and myself working our way up. Some of you guys, I know Tiffany Keller is right there also. So so many people really within reaching this amazing goal. So make sure you're tracking your Leader in Action, guys, and getting as many points as possible for the next couple of months, because nothing would make me happier than to see a bunch of you guys earning this trip to Fiji with top achievers. So congrats on that. And next week's team call is Fraser Brooks. So make sure you guys show up for that call, and we get a lot of people on that call as well. All right, without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to one of my dear friends. And I met Karla. She kind of stands out in a crowd. She's absolutely beautiful inside and out. She's taller than I am. And her husband's Italian and has the most beautiful accent. And they are just such an adorable couple with 3 beautiful little girls. And I'll have her share her story with you. But I actually met her years ago when we were both coaching with Jeffrey Combs. And she is just one of those people. I met her and I just knew immediately we'd be very good friends. And we've been at events together. We've actually gotten to train together. And she is coming to Tampa for our New Year's kickoff, a small event that we're doing in January. So I'm just so excited to share her with you guys. She was an engineer. She has a master's degree, and now she is a work from home, amazing mom entrepreneur with a professional networking business like we all have. She's actually my avatar, exactly who I'm looking for on LinkedIn. And she began her Isogenics journey in 2007 and remained a loyal customer, listen to this, you guys, for 6 years before she started building her team. Imagine if someone gave up on her. She was a customer for 6 years. And now she's an Isogenics 6-figure income earner. She's earned all kinds of awards, and you guys have seen her train on stage. She is no stranger to training on stages, from Super Saturday events to the big events where we all, gather together at New Year's kickoffs and celebration. So Karla, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Cindy. I'm so honored. I'm humbled by your introduction. I just am grateful for your friendship. You are just dynamic in this profession and somebody who I aspire to be like. I'm so honored to be a part of the Tampa event. Wow, and you guys on this call, that is the best. But you guys are so blessed to have Cindy as your leader. She's just such a dear friend and just the epitome of a leader in this company and in life. And Cindy, I'm just honored to know you and excited to be here tonight.
Well, we are just dying to. There's some brand new people that don't really know your story. So I know some of you guys have followed Karla for a long time, and you never tire of hearing stories like this. But Karla, do share, because I think your story is so uber relatable to so many people, because people especially that struggle and want to give up need to hear your story tonight. So I'm so excited. So just share how you were introduced and what made you change from customer to business builder.
Yes, absolutely. I love to share my story, and thank you for that and for this opportunity. And, you know, one thing when I first started to attend Isogenics events and network marketing events to learn this profession, I would hear story after story after story of people who would say things like, oh, I made this Facebook post. And next thing I knew, I was making 6 figures. Has anyone ever heard a story like that? And you just kind of got frustrated. And you're like, well, I made a post like that, but I got like 2 likes and right? Like, that's me. So if that's you, that's me. And because it definitely wasn't overnight, but you know, I was an engineer, like Cindy said, and although I had a great career, I loved it. I loved the people I was with. It was exciting. I had international travel. From the outside, it was like the perfect job. On the inside, it just wasn't aligned with my core values. I wanted more freedom. I wanted to succeed. I'm a high achieving person, but I look at the people in that career path, and they would have the status and the money, but they would lose the time freedom. They weren't in alignment with what I knew my values were, but I didn't know any other way. And I was initially introduced to this profession through another company first. It was very much a home party business, not the same one as Cindy, but similar to your story. But that's how I started, and I fell in love with this profession. I started to learn the skills, and I loved the people. I loved the opportunity. I did leave my engineering career to do that one full time, which I never regretted. However, I never really achieved the level of success that I knew was possible with this profession. And that overall experience led me to really lose my own confidence that I could do this. And it was at about the time that I was losing my team. You guys, this is how blessed we are in Isogenics. And this other compensation plan, because I wasn't producing enough volume, they actually took away my entire team except for who I'd personally enrolled. I put my heart and soul into that business for 6 years. And when I didn't meet enough volume for a couple months in a row, they took everyone away forever. I never had the chance to regain them. And so that experience led me to lose my confidence. I'm like, I'm not doing that again. And so I didn't go back to my career as an engineer, and I was not interested in another job. But the same friend actually who shared that other company with me then shared with me Isogenics. She was super excited. She used the product. She's like, I feel amazing. She was really into nutrition. I, of course, wanted to be healthy, but wasn't really knowledgeable, but I trusted her. And she said, the business is so simple, so much better than we had. And she's right, but I wasn't really open to that at the time. My confidence was low, but I'm like, let me try the products. And I did. My husband and I were newly married at the time, and we both loved the products. We fell in love with the products. You guys, it's been 13 years now that we've been using these products. Our anniversary was just this past Thursday, and love the products, paid out of pocket for them gladly, just love them this entire time. But I never went back to my career. But then eventually, we grew a family, we had some kids, and then we hit a point where we needed a little bit extra money. Has anyone ever been there before? Like, something changes, or you realize that something has to change. Either you've got to compromise what you're doing, or you got to create more money. For us, it was private school. We found a private school for 3 girls. We have an older girl and then 2 twins. And I didn't want to compromise where they were. My husband has a great job, still does, but we knew their cost of tuition was going to increase faster than his was. And that's when I became open, after being a customer for 6 years. Customer for 6 years. Like, nobody was looking at me. They're just out of the blue. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to an event, and I know there's an opportunity with this. Maybe it's different. Maybe it's different. So I went to University in Action with David Wood, and my beliefs started to grow, and I started the business, and I dove in, and I became executive right away. No, I'm being sarcastic. That was not my story. My goal was to become executive right away, because I saw those leaders. And I knew if I could do what they did, if I could take the same actions, then of course I'd get the same results. And a lot of them on stage were very successful, and they had become executive very quickly. So I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it in 30 days, 1 month. Nope. 1 year later, I was hitting manager. Okay. All in, like, no excuses, all in. But all during that time, what kept driving me was I knew that if I continued to take the actions, the same actions that the top leaders were taking, and that were training and were teaching us, that maybe I wouldn't have one of those overnight stories, but I knew that I would get there. A combination of the action as well as growing myself personally which is one reason I invested in Jeffrey Combs' house. Cindy and I met. The combination of taking the action consistently, and then yes, finally 20 months later, I hit executive, and I've never fallen off. That became a huge goal of mine, and I've maintained it the whole way. And it's because of that that I've been able to now obviously not only provide for my girls' tuition, but also to more than replace my engineering income, and have a residual income that has saved us through, giving us extra things like trips and not have to worry, as well as, we faced some challenges, which I'm glad to go into as well, but that residual income has truly saved our family in times we needed it.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And I mean, I think so many of you guys can probably relate to that story. We hear the Lynn Hagedorn stories when we go to conference, how she was millionaire in 14 months. And I remember Susan Wheeler heard that story and she's like, well, if Lynn can do it, so could I. And when she didn't do it, she was devastated and didn't want to go to the next event. And so that's what we end up comparing ourselves to. And really, really, as much as we hear it, you guys, you just can't compare yourself to other people, because had Karla done that, maybe she would have quit and we would have lost her. And here she is, a 4-star golden circle, 2-star crystal executive, you guys. And this income has truly changed her life. So if you don't mind, I do want you to share the richest part of your story, in my opinion, is what freedom it allowed you in the past couple of years.
Absolutely. I'm glad to. It was about 3.5 years into building this business intentionally and very consistently, every single day, consistently but not constantly, is what I heard. In my upline, Hillary Courtney always shared, consistently but not constantly, 365 days a year. I was reaching out. I was doing this business. And around that time, one of our twins, who was 5 years old at the time, in kindergarten, received a diagnosis, a life-threatening diagnosis of leukemia. And obviously that was devastating to us and completely shocked us. But what Isagenix provided us was residual income, which allowed me to step away for a time from that consistent action that I already built that foundation for years. I had the freedom to step back and put all that time into her and my daughter and finding solutions and being with her and figuring things out, and not lose income at all. In fact, my income went up, and my 4-star rank advancement came about 7 months after my daughter's diagnosis, because of the residual nature, because of the leverage that when you get other people linking arms with you to build. I mean, and this community is great, and you guys are we are all one team, but like my team were my friends, and they knew that the best thing that they could do was actually build their business, which they were already doing, which supported us. And that also provided not just for me, but for my husband as well, because he still had his corporate job, and his company was great at giving him the time off, but not all of that time off was paid. In fact, most of it was unpaid. But because I was still getting paid from Isagenix, it gave him more freedom and less stress to take the time off that he could, to switch off nights in the hospital with me and manage our other 2 girls' schedules as normal as possible, while keeping our daughter company and going through. She had chemotherapy treatments for over 2 years. It was a long haul. But because of Isagenix, I was with her every missed day of school, even when it wasn't planned, every surgery, every treatment. My husband too, we switched off. And I'm happy to say she's doing great today. We're so thankful. She's in remission. She's back in school. We still go in for checkups. We still watch her health very closely, but she's doing great. She's doing great. But it was because of the foundation of activity and consistency that I laid in my business leading up to that time that was totally unexpected, that I had the freedom that our family needed when we needed it most.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. And I think it's one thing that you never think about until you're in a situation like that. But most of you guys have heard my story when my husband's father got so sick, and Scott was able to really be that primary caregiver to his dad, taking him to every single doctor appointment, an hour and a half each way, and, being there for him. And that's what we want for all of you guys, that freedom that can absolutely take that stress away if you're ever in a situation like that, which we hope and pray you're not. But that freedom piece is so huge. All right, so let's just chat about, I'm sure along the way, Karla, and I know you did because I remember stories, you had some discouraging things happen to you. Actually, one of your first reach outs, I think, ran away from you, and you've got a funny story around that. So share with everyone the discouragements and how were you able to move past them to get where you are now?
Yeah, thank you so much. And that's a great question. So yeah, I touched on this in my story, but more details around that beginning time. I went to that first event, right? And I think something that I captured, and this is what you guys are going to get to see when we're in person together at TAM, because in-person events are so powerful. But in person, what I got to see is all these leaders with incredible stories and incredible outcomes and incomes, but they were all different, right? They all had different personalities, backgrounds, education levels, geography, where they're from, everything. But something they had in common was this posture and this confidence and this ease about them and these people skills. They're very authentic. And I don't know about you, but when I came into the profession, even coming from my other company here, something that I expected was to have to learn how to be pushy and just be okay with it. Has anyone ever felt that way? Like they're just going to teach me how to talk people into this, and I'm just going to have to get okay with it. That was my thought going into it. But at that first event, what I saw, these people, they weren't having to be like that at all. They were doing this in a very authentic way. And I thought, if I can just grow myself into the best version of myself, that most bold, confident, peaceful, this business. And that's truly my belief, is that every single person in our own uniqueness, becoming the most authentic, but most bold and pure version of yourself, crushes this business. It's absolutely a personal development journey with a paycheck. So with that in mind, when I left that first event, I went through my list of people. I made my list to 100, and I reached out on the phone. This was kind of even before Facebook was big. I was calling people, and I meant to get to my first 100 people, but I only made it through 30, you guys. It was taking me an hour to make each phone call. And it's not because I was on the phone for an hour. I'm actually an introvert and I'm an engineer, remember, so this is not really my thing, but it's actually because I was so nervous that I was preparing and rehearsing and writing out every version of but of those first 30 reaches, 29 said no or ignored. I returned her products. That was my start. Okay. But again, I knew if I took the action, if I grew myself and I kept being consistent, I was going to get there. So I kept going and I kept plugging in and learning what I could and going to events and taking action. And it was at my second event, which was an ICU. I flew from here to Kansas City, and I was after that event, and I'd heard, I think, Lynn Hagedorn and Michael Klaus share these beautiful scripts of what to say about isogenics. So when I was sitting waiting to board the plane to come back, I'm like, okay, this is my chance. And I got the courage to start a conversation with a gentleman next to me. I'm like, okay, form. All right. Occupation. What do you do? Hi. And then so it was really awkward. He answered, and then he asked me what I did. And I was trying to remember the thing they told us to say. And I stumbled through something about financial freedom, and I help people get fit and feel fabulous. And he stood up and he walked away. And at first I thought, oh, he must be going to the bathroom before boarding the plane. That's a really good idea. Maybe I should do that too. But no, I watched him just go and sit down in another chair on the other side of the room. He was literally running away from me. Okay. But that moment, I think, was critical in my career. And this is something that you may notice yourself. In those moments that it makes sense to quit, it's usually because the thing we're experiencing matches the negative story we have in our head, right? What was my negative story? I can't do this. I'm bothering people. I'm an engineer. What am I thinking? You see? People are running away from me. This matches my story. It's when those negative experiences, we make a story about it that matches our own negative story, that validates us quitting, that throws so many people off. When it's just a story, all that meant was that was an area of improvement, right? I thought back to that version of myself. What would the best version of myself do? Well, the best version of myself would probably be more relaxed, be a little more open, create more of a conversation, make him feel more comfortable. And in reality, his response is not my responsibility. And there are always going to be people who are going to act ways, but there are things that we can do to increase that probability of a positive response, right? And that's where I knew I could work. And that's what kept me going, because I'm like, if I'm giving up on this business and I'm really giving up on becoming that best version of myself, and isn't that something that I want to do anyway? Why would I not want to grow myself into the most cheerful, open, loving version of myself? And once I get there, I know I can crush this. So let's pursue this goal. And I think that vision is what kept me going, even when it did not make sense. You guys, you see how easily and logically that could have been the end of my journey, right? Like logically, this was not working for me. This is not okay. But it's because I knew that in growing myself and that best version of myself, that I could crush this. Having that belief drove me to continue going. So I kept going. I just kept showing up and stumbling through mistakes and getting as much training as I could. I was so hungry, so hungry, and just learning everything that I could. Like everything that I learned, I train my team now with stuff I've learned from other leaders in our company and our industry. And that's what's kept me going through to where I am today.
Yeah. And again, so relatable, because how many of you guys have had those wall kicking moments where you're discouraged and you actually have the thought, is this for me? Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe Karla can do it, and she's got, the grit to keep coming back, but maybe I don't. So I'm really hoping this is inspiring you guys to realize what she's done to be where she is today. Number one, she didn't give up. Number two, she did the personal development and did the work. She learned the skills. And let's we're not going to wrap it up quite yet, but let's start talking about other top tips that you'd share. So we've got the whole gamut here. We have top leaders in my whole team on this call, 6-figure income earners, platinums, and then we have brand new babies that are just, so excited and so hungry. So let's talk about, what do you feel are some of the best lessons you learned that we can share with these guys, so they don't have to take as long as you and I did to learn the skills? Because, I might have been quicker here, but I had 20 years experience in all those failures and disappointments before Isagenix. And I've had some here too, don't get me wrong, but, we've both experienced all of that. So to help these guys shorten their learning curve, let's share some of the greatest lessons you've learned, some top tips that can help them.
Yeah, absolutely. Something that I believe that really helped me is simply consistency. And that's what I've seen a lot of top leaders, and all leaders on here know this. Consistency is taking action even when it doesn't make sense. Like one of the top most amazing trips that I earned was the President's Quest, which was based on leader in action over a year's time. Right? And thank goodness I wasn't comparing myself to that, because I was never in the monthly leaderboards. I was never in the monthly leaderboards for Leader in Action that year, that I won in the top 8 the trip for the entire year. Right? So who's running for Fiji right now? I heard a bunch of you are really close, right? Finish that off. Do not give in, and don't compare. Like, keep an eye on the leaderboard, but don't let it be, just like dig in and do it, because when you finish strong, amazing things happen. And the key is in the consistency, regardless of what makes sense, so definitely consistency. And one of the things that consistency was for me, as a commitment I made to myself, was my reach outs. And I remember at least probably that first year and a half, I would not let my head hit the pillow at night before I made at least 3 new reaches. And these were like actual asks, like, would you look at this? Is this something that you would be open to look at? In addition to that, I'm making relationships and additional, posts and just messaging, hi, how are you? But 3 intentional reaches a day before my head hit the pillow was something that launched my business, and that each time I've done a 90-day reset or another big run, that's what it is. I pick a number. Sometimes it's 3 a day, sometimes it's 5 a day, whatever the number is. Sometimes it's like 200 in 2 weeks. we go whatever, divide it out however, but that's something that's really consistency.
Yep. And you hear all the top leaders saying that. So guys, and how Penny has changed the game for that to help us all be consistent every single day. And I do that every single day, no matter what. And what Karla said is key, even when you don't feel like it. That's even more important. On those days you don't feel like it, I don't care if you have to do jumping jacks, push-ups, put your favorite song on and dance like a crazy person in your bathroom mirror, whatever it is that you need to do, but just make sure you're doing the do and you're getting it done. Awesome, awesome. All right, so let's just talk about all the stuff we have going on right now, Karla. I know we've got this, Work It week going on right now with calls every single day this week. There's going to be a virtual Super Saturday on Saturday. Always so many things to plug into. Eric Worre's got his 7-day recruiting mastery going on right now. How important is it to plug into, one, what the company's offering for us? We did already talk about events. We'll close on events, but plugging into all of these different things and not getting overwhelmed, because there is a lot out there. You really have to pick and choose what your business needs. But let's talk about that and the importance of plugging in.
Yes, no, it is everything. It is everything, because our mind is so easily going to go back to what's familiar. And what's familiar is everything that we've experienced and where we're at in our life right now. And if we want a change, which I assume that's why everyone's on this call, right? We're after the next rank advancement, or after growth, or after some sort of change. In order to change our rank, our status, we have to change something about how we're thinking. And the best way to do that is total immersion into our company, into your team, this team right here, into your activities, into the profession. What Eric Worre is doing is amazing. And I heard Emily Vavra say that recently about total immersion. And although I didn't identify it as such, I feel like that's been a part of mine too, like becoming, all in with isogenics. So what's happening and you learn it. You don't have to know it all at once, but like learning every day something. Like go to isogenicshealth.net, just read about the products every day, But right now, you're right. There's so many opportunities to plug in and get trained. Just do it, but keep it balanced with your activity. You're right. The moment you feel overwhelmed, just maybe choose, 1 training a day instead of 3 that might be available now, but don't ever stop. I heard Jessica Johnston once say, there's times when you're putting the pedal to the metal, and there's times when you might relax your foot a little bit, but we never take our foot completely off the gas. And that's the risk sometimes when we feel overwhelmed, is that we totally recoil and we stop and we want to recover. But the trick is just to back off a little bit, know yourself. And in the midst of all this training, never stop taking action. And that's probably the best way to judge yourself. If you're feeling overwhelmed because of all the training, then just at least don't back off on your activity. Stay plugged in with Cindy, with your sponsor, with your mentor. That's going to be the key, and they'll help you guide you through, which training they feel is best for you at the moment. We had the same conversation in my own team, because you're right. This is a big week with a lot of big opportunities.
Yep, and we don't know what it is yet, but we have a Black Friday, Cyber Monday special starting towards the end of the week. So we'll be, promoting whatever that is. Then we have GoPro actually coming up. And I know you are having a Zoom room for that too. And I've put it out for our team. So share a little bit about GoPro, and then we'll finish up with New Year's kickoff.
Absolutely. GoPros, but events in general are so powerful. And I have personally always done every year one of each of the core 4 events plus a generic network marketing event, right? So I do all 4 of the Isogenics events plus a generic event. And Eric Worre's GoPro the last several years has been my generic event. And it is truly life-changing. It will grow your vision of what is possible in this profession like nothing else. And plus, I don't know, before I was exposed to more companies, I always felt this really huge sense of competition with the other ones. Does anyone ever feel that way against other companies? I think what I've realized in attending those events is that there is so much camaraderie, and actually when you have this abundance mentality, there's so much to collaborate on. I learned so much from other leaders and from other companies, and Emily Vavra's typically up on stage, training as well, and everyone's sharing ideas. And in reality, we're all truly one team in this profession. And this event will propel you like none other. And I'll share you a quick story about last year. Usually it's in Vegas, and this year it's virtual. And last year I had my tickets. I was, buy them a year in advance. So I already had my ticket. I was ready to go. I even booked my flight. And then it was maybe a week before I went. For some reason, I missed that my girls' piano recital overlapped with the last night of the conference. And not just because I wanted to be there, but I was actually performing in it as part of a duet with one of my girls. And so what I ended up doing is booking an extra ticket to come back early. But this is I'm so glad that I had the ticket already, because if I hadn't had the ticket already and I'd discovered and I'd realized the conflict, I probably wouldn't have ever gone. But because I went and I attended all the first day and a half that I could, and after I just missed the last day and I got to catch up on that later on live stream, I came back from that event so fired up. And I don't know, some of you are brand new, some of you, we always have seasons in our business. And I, just to be transparent, last year around this time, I was kind of in a season where I was in a lot of self-doubt. And I was in a lot of oh my gosh, my business isn't growing. What can I do differently? And I came back so fired up. And I got so many ideas there. I came back and I did the 7-day relaunch in my team, totally ignited what we were doing. We got reignited. We had new promotions, new ideas. It's not just the actual things that are shared. It's the inspiration that you find within yourself, being around these other people who are crushing it in this business. I'm just so fired up, and I'm excited. Actually, it's virtual this year because I've usually taken a few team members with me, but this is making it accessible to more in my team. And it is truly a pivot in my career every time I go. And so I'm really excited for those of you who are attending this year.
Yeah, and Eric Worre, I always tell people, if you're struggling at all in your belief in network marketing or your belief in yourself in network marketing, he is the person you want to be listening from. He is absolutely the person you want to be listening to. So you can YouTube, all kinds of free stuff on him. You definitely want to read GoPro. I know many of you guys have already read it. Rise of the Entrepreneur, you want to watch that, and you really want to build your belief, because if you want to get to where Karla is today, belief is probably an area, you all could be working on. It's something that I work on daily myself, and my belief is through the roof, but I'm just constantly wanting to grow my belief so I can always help other people. All right, so I love that. So you guys, it's not too late to get your virtual tickets. Gather some people together in your home. You can do it together via Zoom, but definitely check it out. I did post about it in the Team Synergy business page. And lastly, New Year's kickoff. So it's been so sad, a year without any live events. It's heartbreaking. There's some people that are more introverted that are absolutely loving the online events, and that is so great. And I'm so thrilled we've had so many more people that are able to tune in this year because of that. And I'm so grateful that Isagenix has done such an amazing job with all of the online events. But there's definitely a group of people that have just been missing the community. And we thought, well, let's just do the best we can to bring them together. And we're going to meet in Tampa. So we've pretty much finalized our plans on the hotel today. We're going to be just a few minutes from the Tampa airport. So I know we've got a lot of local people in Florida going, and I know Karla's coming from Georgia and bringing some team from Georgia. So if this is something that you guys are at all considering, I can ease your mind on a couple things. One, tickets with us are refundable. So if anything should happen and travel plans have to fall through for whatever reasons due to the circumstances, you won't be out money there. The hotel that we're working with and we're blocking rooms with is doing the same thing. They're very, very aware of what's going on and fully, will be refunding people if there's anything that would happen. So my thought is get your tickets. We are going to be booked. We don't have a huge meeting room. I think we have room for about 120 people, 100 to 120 people. It will fill up. So get your ticket. and know that you're safe. It's fully refundable. But we are so fired up to get together live in a room, and we're going to do training around the training. So we're going to watch the event together. We're going to do personal development training. We're going to have some of our top leaders sharing and training and really doing some sessions where we can work together. And Karla is coming and sharing. So if you guys love tonight and you want a little bit more of our sweet Karla, who is just so amazing and so inspirational, you want to be there, right, Karla?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this. I am fired up. I'm missing our Isogenics family as well, and this is a huge opportunity. I'm excited to be there with all of you.
So I can't thank you enough. And I can't thank you for saying yes so quickly when I asked you to come to that, and for being here tonight. And I just adore you. You guys shout, oh, they're all shouting it out in the chat already. I'll send you everyone's comments, Karla, but you're a gift. And it's so hard to imagine you as an introvert at all. I just think you're one of the most lovely, friendly, wonderful human beings I've ever met. And I love your heart and I love your family. And I'm just so grateful to have met you with Jeffrey Combs all those years ago.
Thank you, Cindy. And just like my heart is so full being here with you and being connected with you. And gosh, what a great journey. And I'm so thankful for your leadership in this company and example that you set, and to get to collaborate like this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Love you. And good night, everybody. I hope you found this call super inspirational and motivating and you're ready to go. We'll see you guys. Have a great week. Thank you, Karla.